Joe Rogan's thoughts on Power Slap and what the UFC should have done instead.
I think the UFC fucked up when they went with slap fighting. I've been telling them forever, you guys should get into kickboxing if you only like stand-up fights.
First of all, let's go over that first statement of they messed up with Power Slap. 1,000%. I think that almost every UFC fan agrees with this take. But somehow, for some reason, Dana White continues to push it, saying that these numbers are doing record-breaking numbers, that it's like nothing they've ever seen before, it's the biggest sport in the world, and that is just simply not true. But I don't know how much, maybe it's all that they've invested into this sport, which I wouldn't even call a sport, but they just continue to push it with everything they've got to promote, and I just don't understand it. There's no skill involved. You just stand there and let someone smack you in the face, and people are getting knocked out left and right. There's no defense. I guess the only technique is in how hard you can hit somebody with like the palm of your hand. That's all there is to it. As far as his take of what they should have done instead, kickboxing / Muay Thai matches, I also agree with this take, especially for the average fan. The average UFC fan loves to complain right now about the wrestling. They hate the takedowns, which there is an argument to be made there about how the UFC is judging takedowns and control time, but people are not enjoying right now, the average fans, when fights go to the ground for a majority of the fight. People love a good stand-up fight. They love the knockouts. They don't like when it goes to the ground. And that's exactly what you'll get when you're talking about kickboxing. You get the enjoyment of a stand-up fight, lots of knockouts compared with the UFC name. You put that onto there, I think you got a hit. I think people would love it, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. And I'd love to see it go down.
Kickboxing with MMA gloves in a cage would be giant in the UFC.
Dope.
Just have a striking only segment of the UFC.
Now that's another thing to it. With the UFC gloves, that's their own unique thing that they can bring to it. Now when he says bring it into the UFC, I feel like you could make it its own thing and that would be a success. Or if you added it onto the main card, the first couple fights are kickboxing only, I think that could also be a pretty cool addition. Especially in the beginning while they're getting it going, while they're building up names, you just add it on to what the fights are currently at. And I think that could bring in new eyes, and it definitely could bring more eyes to wanting to watch the entire fight card instead of just the main event and maybe one other fight that a lot of people want to see. To me, it does seem like the UFC is gonna try to make some big moves this year. Pay-per-view numbers are down. They're gonna try to pursue a deal with Netflix. They want to make changes this year, coming into next year as well. I think kickboxing could be a really fun thing. I don't think they're going to do it. I know Dana White is putting a lot of his time right now into the boxing that they're going to bring to the table. So I think that is what Dana White's main focus is going to be. I don't think they're going to do the kickboxing. I think Dana White has just invested so much time into Power Slap that it's not going to stop. Unfortunately, because I have never met someone who is like a fan of Power Slap who actively knows the fighters, I guess, and talks about it. I've never met anyone like that. Maybe there are people. I think people just like to watch the clips on Instagram maybe, and those get a big pop. But I do think there are changes coming to the UFC, and stuff like the jiu-jitsu investments they've put in, you know, making that its own thing. I think kickboxing could be a good addition on top of that if they wanted to try that out. I don't know. I'd like to see it. What do you guys think? What big change could the UFC make this year that would be beneficial? Bring in more eyes, get more sales. Let me know. Subscribe for more combat sports content, updates, whatever. The support is much appreciated. We're almost to our goal of 500 subscribers. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.